guitar playing, which led to this because I wanted to impress a girl. I had a girlfriend and she was like really into like Taking Back Sunday.
Okay.
And I bought a guitar and I learned to play guitar so that I can impress her.
I'm Adam, by the way, and this is about you, your journey in music, and we'll talk about the new record with Varsity.
Sick. Yeah, let's fucking do it.
Cool. The band or the band started out as a solo project, right?
Yeah, so I started the band, I want to say I started the idea of the band back in 2015.
Okay.
And it was just me writing music and like putting it out, and it was just supposed to end there. It was never supposed to be anything else.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well,
No,
let's rewind a bit. So, are you originally you started in New York? Are you originally from there?
I am. I'm from New York City. I'm originally from here, but I didn't start the band till I moved to Florida for like a year.
Okay. So,
So I
born in
started.
what part of New York did you grow up in?
I'm from Harlem. I'm from Harlem,
Okay.
New York. I grew up during the '90s, where it was like some of the worst, some of the worst times to live in Harlem. But it was a good experience for me. You know, I needed I needed the tough love.
Sure. How did you get into music?
Funny enough, I've always been into music. I grew up listening to like a lot of Frank Sinatra and like Michael Jackson and stuff like that. So singing was always like a thing of mine,
Hmm.
just because my parents love music, or my mom loved music and stuff like that, and my sisters. But I got into like guitar playing, which led to this because I wanted to impress a girl. I had a girlfriend and she was like really into like Taking Back Sunday.
Okay.
And I bought a guitar and I learned to play guitar so that I can impress her.
Did you learn a bunch of Taking Back Sunday songs?
I learned a bunch of Taking Back Sunday songs, and then she dumped me right after that. So
Oh.
so sick.
But at least you learned guitar, and look now
I
you're in
did.
a.
I fell in love with playing guitar, and then I didn't want to stop, you know. And years later, like I just started writing my own stuff.
How old were you when you learned guitar? Like, were you in high school at this point?
I want to say I was like maybe 16 or
Okay.
17. I started learning guitar. You
And then
know.
when did you decide to pursue music kind of more as a full-time thing?
So I didn't. This kind of decision was like, it was pretty much kind of, I don't want to say forced on me, but kind of thrown at me. I always sang in like projects and stuff like that, and I like playing guitar. I played guitar and sang in like a couple local bands, and one of my best friends, his name is Sean Christmas. He did our first EP, the Black EP.
Uh-huh.
When I was in Florida, it was him that told me what, we used to hang out, and he would always tell me like, dude, you should be a singer. And I was always like, nah, dude, I wouldn't be good in the front. Like, it's just not my thing. He always told me, he's like, no, dude, you should be a singer. And so I finally took his advice and I started this, and the rest.
Wow. Okay. So what took you to Florida?
I was running away from like life in New York City. I had graduated college and I had no idea what to do with my life. And being a college student in New York City with the rent as high as it is,
Oh,
it's
sure.
impossible for me to live. And so I thought that moving away to Florida would be better for me. Like I could find a job out there and do things, and just have like an easier like living situation. And I just got really bored out there and started doing music.
Okay. What did you go to school for? Anything involved with music or not at all?
No, I graduated college. I have a degree in education and a minor in psychology.
Oh, wow. Were you going to be a teacher?
I wanted to be a teacher. I've always wanted to teach, like since forever. Actually, one of my first jobs in college, I was a creative at Apple. So I was teaching like
Wow.
would teach like the technology to like the customers and stuff.
That's cool. That is cool. And
Yeah,
then, so when you get to, did you move to Florida to teach, or did you just went down there because you said to kind of escape
yeah, I
the
want to escape New York City.
expensiveness
Yeah,
of
it is kind of crazy, but I also figured it'd be an easier place for me to find a job in like the education field and stuff like that. So I did go down there for that.
Did you start a band when you were in Florida? Like, how did the whole concept of a
Uh,
friend of yours saying like,
so
dude, you should be a singer happen?
yeah, so I met Sean very randomly. God, I don't even remember where I met him, and I told him that I was a singer, And I guess he had a band in the studio. It was Chango Studios at the time. You remember back in the day, like Cameron did everyone, like Woe Is Me and like all these different people.
Uh-huh.
And Sean worked with Cameron, and this band needed a singer, and we had exchanged numbers, and he just called me up randomly one day. He was like, yeah, I remember you saying you were a singer, so do you want to like come audition for this band? And I did. And I like instantly got in the band, and I quit the band like right after I got in it.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was really weird. I didn't think it was a right fit for me, so I recorded an entire EP with them, and then it just didn't feel right. But by then I was already friends with Sean and a couple of the other like guys who worked in the studio and like or were around the studio in Florida. And Sean always told me like, hey man, you should like really pursue like singing. Like you're actually kind of like really good at this. And so I learned how to record because I watched him, and I just recorded a bunch of music and put vocals on, and then the rest is like history.
Okay, so you recorded music, and then what? We're putting it on Bandcamp or something, or what? Like, where were you
Yeah,
releasing
I
songs?
recorded an EP called it was the Lights EP, and I literally had no idea how to put it out, and so I put out a song on Bandcamp, and then Greg Long from We Are Triumphant found me online somehow, and was like, hey,
Wow.
yeah, he was like, hey, do you mind like if I release this under like, I guess I think We Are Triumphant was like starting out at the time or something like that, and I was like, yeah, sure, like why not? I knew nothing about it,
Uh-huh.
and did, and that helped kind of me get like a start.
So they put it out like he put it out under his own like little label or something?
Yeah, he put it out under the label, and it got. I guess at the time we didn't have like Spotify. Well, we weren't using
Uh-huh.
Spotify now, so I guess it did well. It did well enough to gain like some kind of like I got like a small fan base, and then I decided I wanted to play the songs, excuse me, live, and so I moved back to New York City, got a bunch of friends who wanted to play the instruments, and just started playing shows.
So did you have the name Varsity and everything else? Was this already
I,
happening
I
or?
I had everything already. So Varsity was actually like also a random name. This just so you know, this band is like the most random thing ever. Like I had no plan for any of this stuff. I literally named the band Varsity because in high school my initials are JV, and so in
Uh-huh.
high school everyone used to call me Junior Varsity. Like they like be like, oh.
Oh.
And then when I started the band, I was like, I don't have a name. And so I was like, oh, I could just name it under like my nickname. And then I was like, Junior Varsity sounds stupid. So I'll just take the junior off and leave it as Varsity.
Oh,
I
wow, that's interesting.
wish there was a better story, but there isn't.
That's a good story though. Junior Varsity is that, so they used to call you Junior Varsity and you're like, yeah, I'm not junior anymore. We're just gonna go
Yeah.
Varsity. Yeah.
I was like really, I mean, I'm still small now, but like in high school, I was like tiny, man. Like I was like really short, and I weighed like maybe like 80 pounds.
Oh, wow.
And I was like really into sports too, but I never made any of the teams because I just wasn't the fit for it. So everyone called me Junior Varsity, like all my friends.
So when you moved back to New York after the project started or
Yeah, after the project
okay.
started.
And did
Uh,
you have that song under the We Are Triumphant imprint label thing at this
yeah,
point or no?
I did. We did have it under that, and then when I moved back to New York, I got off of that. So it was like kind of like, hey, I don't want to be under this thing anymore. And like we were like me and Greg were more like friends than like people who work together. And so he
Mhm.
was like, "Yeah, like whatever you want to do." And I got friends to play the instruments, and then we started playing shows, and then shortly after that, we got picked up again, which was really weird. So
Yeah, so like tell me about that. So you get a group of people together. What were you like auditioning or is just friends that you knew that were willing to play in the band with you or
it was literally just friends. I called up all the people that I knew that had already played the instruments that I needed, and they were already good friends of mine. So we had played like together in like projects, like really tiny projects, like back before that. And they were looking for bands. I was like, yeah, like I started one. Like, do you want to like maybe do this with me? And everyone kind of jumped into it, and that's that's how that whole thing like started.
so you had the light CP done just all you wrote recorded everything yourself.
Yeah, so I wrote, recorded everything myself, and then I wasn't too good at mixing, so my friend Kyle Rich mixed it for me.
Mhm.
He was the only person available at the time, and then like right after that, I started writing and recording the next stuff.
Okay. So were you the shows that you guys were doing early on, like when you got your friends to in the band really officially formed, was that mainly what was recorded in light on the Lights album?
Yeah, so it was stuff that was on the Lights EP, and then like some extra things that I recorded, which was supposed to be newer music that didn't make it on the EP. So it was like a couple of random songs that I felt like putting out into the world.
Uh-huh. And then how did you get Johnny Craig to sing on Rain Dance? And that, I mean, that
Uh,
song does really well.
so I met Johnny years ago, and we just he was in town. It was his birthday, and he was in town, and I was going to the show anyway. And I was like, yeah, I got this like song. I don't know what I'm gonna do with it. And he was over at my house. I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do with it, but I'm gonna put it out. I guess. And I showed him the song, and he was like, yeah, you want me to sing on this? And I was like, shit, yeah. And he did it like in my living room, like while he was eating spaghetti.
Really?
Still remember this. Like he literally was eating spaghetti, and he would stop and sing, and then just eat and stop and sing, and that was how that happened.
That's so funny.
And that song is what kind of made people really find us.
Sure. So once did he like share the song or something? Like how did people find out that he sang on the record?
So he got on the song, and then after Johnny got on the song, we got picked up by the Artery Foundation like
Wow.
2 weeks after that. And
Well, he was signed to them, right? I mean, with
he was signed to Artery Recordings, yeah.
okay.
And so picked up by the management was which was different. We got picked up by the Artery Foundation, and they kind of helped us put together the plan to put out the song and do all of that stuff. And I right after that song came out, people like really started to like get into the band, and we like immediately started touring.
Really?
Yeah, this band played 7 local shows, maybe like 6 or 7 local shows, like as a band before we were already touring. No,
Wow.
just kind of like we're like, oh yeah, I guess we should tour. Let's rent a van and go do that.
So it sounds like this kind of just like you said, it wasn't there wasn't a plan, right? You had this
No,
EP and then it just kind of took a life of its own on.
I got really lucky, man. Like I I wish I was smarter and had a plan back then, but I didn't. I think I had the music and I met the right people, and the
Uh-huh.
right people put it in front of the right crowds, and then that kind of like snowballed, and it just before I knew it, I was renting vans and on tour and meeting people that I was like, what is happening here?
With that first tour, you said you only had 6, 7 shows done.
Yeah.
Did you get put on like a tour supporting somebody, or like what was the decision to be like, you know, let's just take this whole thing on the road?
Yeah. So our first like we weren't part of this tour, but the first thing that we did 5 shows with it was like a little string of shows with Ice Nine Kills and like Monster Flames. Um
Wow.
those are like the first 2. I don't think they weren't the same tour, I think. I think the like Monster Flames tour was like them and like Light Up the Sky and some other bands. And then Ice Nine Kills was like something else. It was about I want to say about like maybe 6 or 7 shows in a row. And so we did like all of them, and then we would get off of that and do like another 6 or 7 with like Ice Nine. But it was just in the local area. So it was like, you know, like Manhattan, Pennsylvania, Jersey, like things that didn't require us to travel too much, just to
Okay.
get like larger crowds. And then we decided we wanted to see what the rest of the states and the US were like. And so we rented a van and we got a booking agent. He put the tour together for us, and we went out there not knowing how to tour, just kind of randomly went out into the world.
What was that like? Like, were you guys, were it scary or just fun or?
Dude, our first tour was so we toured, and we were, you know, we were broke. And so we didn't have a trailer. So we stuffed all the equipment in the van with us. So we had to sleep in the van with all of our equipment. At the time, there was 5 of us.
I was gonna say you have a pretty big band too. It's not like there's just 3 of you guys.
Yeah, so at the time when we had started, there was 5 of us in the band, and then it was all the equipment, and also we had a tour manager that came with us. And so it was just really uncomfortable and really hard. Like it was, God, it was some of the worst stuff ever.
When you got back from that tour, was it like, do I want to keep doing this? Was that ever a thought in your mind?
No, I loved it. Even though it was hard, I kind of just fell in love with the idea of just traveling and singing.
Mm-hmm. For sure. I mean, what a
Yeah,
cool career path.
yeah, I came back home and I immediately missed it. I was like, oh, I want to go again, but with the trailer this time.
What was the next like victory you guys had as far as like a milestone?
So there were no victories after that. And it was kind of like our own call. We After Artery Foundation, we signed with Artery Recordings, which was, Slaves was under them, and like
Uh-huh.
Conquer Divide and a bunch of other bands that we love. But then they got bought out by, I think it was Warner. I'm not sure who bought them out. Someone else bought them out, and so the label went under and everyone went under. And
Oh yeah, they got bought by a Warner Music Group.
yeah. And so nothing came of it, and that was okay. I made like a lot of good friends and a lot of good connections, and after that happened, almost all of my band quit except for my bassist, who is still in the band now.
Oh wow. So
They all
when the label got bought out, they just dropped everybody.
they all got married and stuff, and so they were like, "Hey, we don't want to do this anymore."
But no, like with the label got bought out by Warner, and then what did they just get rid of all the bands or something like
Yeah, they
that?
like, "Hey, we can't." No, it wasn't like they dropped everyone, but we had like a good conversation. They told us, like we were a tiny band, and we just
Right.
didn't have the numbers or anything that like would even that Warner would even bother looking at. Um,
Okay.
they were like, we can't really like honor this contract because it's not really like a good it wasn't a good fit at the
Uh-huh.
time. Like totally fine. I understand that we were like literally a speck on the map.
Sure.
Uh, and yeah, and then after that, like my two of my bandmates, one of them left for school, the other two got married, and
Uh-huh.
so it was kind of like, all right, well, do I want to keep doing this?
Right. Like, then you probably had to make the tough decision to either keep going with it or
Yeah,
start
that was the
teaching or something.
yeah. So that was the first time I ever like had doubts in like this like the band, because it was just two of us, and I'm like, well, I don't know if I should keep going. But I enjoyed writing and recording music, and I called up Sean again, who I hadn't
Uh-huh.
spoken on. I was like, yeah, I'm not sure what to do with this. And he's like, just keep writing and recording music. It's fine. And I did. And then I got the guys I have now. And then we put out the Black EP.
Okay. And you
Yeah,
guys did that independently?
we did that independently. We did that independently by choice. We had got a manager at the time, and he wanted to shop it, but I didn't want to do that. I felt like we made a lot of mistakes when we first started, like
Mhm.
tons with the whole touring and everything else, just jumping into everything. I just figured maybe we should learn how to do this the right way, and not just jump into something so crazy. And so we put it out independently, and we still toured, but it was more like spread out and just like a lot smarter. And it was fun. It was a good learning experience putting that out.
Mhm. And like, well, you guys signed with Spinefarm now
Yeah, so it was right
for
after the
the new record?
yep. So right after we put out the Black EP, we toured for about, I want to say, a year and a half on it. And then we started writing Cloud City. And when we started writing that, we got a hit from Spinefarm. Our A&R guy now emailed our manager, and he was like, "Yeah, I heard some of their music on Spotify, and I'm like interested in this band." And we were on tour when that happened. We came back, and then the pandemic hit.
Oh, wow. Well, so you're on tour, you get home from the tour, and
Yeah,
you're already in conversation with Spinefarm, and then the pandemic hits.
yeah.
Or did
So
you sign the deal before the pandemic?
we signed the deal during the pandemic, so it's a really
Oh, wow.
story. This is the best story of this band ever. This is of all of the things that could have possibly happened that were great. This is the one. This is my favorite one.
Okay.
We were on tour, and we were talking to them. I came back. I want to say we came back on like Monday, and I had tickets to go see While She Sleeps on Friday. And so I was like, well, we're back from tour on Monday. Like, I'll go to the show on Friday, and then we'll see what happens. It turns out the label, While She Sleeps, is on Spinefarm.
Uh-huh.
So my manager was like, hey, actually, while you're at the show, you should meet some of them. And so I was like, yeah, sure, I guess. I went to the show. I met some of them. We had like a good conversation. We never once spoke about music or anything, which was funny.
Mhm.
We just kind of had drinks and spoke about the show. And then, you know, they told us, hey, we'd love to have you come into the office and like talk further about, you know, your band and just like, you know, the history of the band and stuff like that. And me being me, I was like, all right, yeah, sure. When do you want to set it up? Like a month from now or like whatever. And
Mm-hmm.
they're like, yeah, how about like in 2 days you come to the office?
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, it was really quickly. And so my manager flew in over the weekend. We went to the office that day. Never spoke about music, not once. I never spoke about music with this label, not once during the whole meeting. I spent an entire day with them. We we literally just spoke about like the music industry, like bands I liked and things I wanted for the band and things like that, but we didn't talk about music. Great day, great meeting. I thought it went well. We went home, and then 2 weeks later, the shutdown happened. Like everything
Oh,
shut down.
wow. And so when that happens, I mean, do you feel like, okay, now this label's probably not going to be interested anymore because
I
no
thought it
one's
was
doing anything? Like, yeah.
yeah, I thought it was over. I'm like, well, I guess it wasn't meant to happen. Like, you know, I've had too many like bad things kind of happen, and just, you know, it is what it is. I'm having fun putting on music, but it's just not going to happen for me. And so I sat at home and I did what anyone else did during the quarantine. I just ate and drank. Then I got a phone call from them. I got a phone call from my A&R guy, and I was super nervous because he texted me out of the blue, and he was like, "Yeah, you know, I just want to have a call." So I was like, "All right, this is the call where he's gonna be like, hey, you know, due to the shutdown, like we can't, you know, whatever."
Right, right, right.
I picked up the phone, and I'm like, "Yeah, you know, we're talking for a bit." And he goes, "Yeah, so I'm just gonna cut to the chase." He's like, "We want to do this, so if you're interested, we're ready right now." And I'm like, "What?"
Wow.
Like ready to like move forward with this, and so.
So did you, and then were the conversation, did you sign like your deal over Zoom or something like that?
So if here's what's funny about it. I said yes over the phone immediately. I was like, yeah, let's do it. And we set up recording time and we set up all these different things. But we never signed a record contract.
Oh,
So we
wow.
were already working with the label and we never signed the contract. And then a week before we were supposed to enter the studio, the contract finally came in our email. And I was like, all right, cool. Well, we'll sign this. We signed it, we scanned it back, and we're like, well, it's official.
That was it.
Yeah.
So were you working on this new record before Spinefarm got involved, or it sounds like
Yeah.
they jumped in towards the end or when right before the pandemic started
Yeah.
and you had
So,
just got back from tour?
yeah, they came in right before the pandemic. I was already working on the record. I had 6 or 7 songs done. That was what ended up being the Cloud City EP.
Oh, okay.
And so that's under Spine Farm. That was our first release under Spine Farm. Originally, that was supposed to be part of the record, and then I recorded that before I signed anything with the label. And we came to the conclusion that maybe we should put that out as an EP and do brand new songs. And they asked me if I was okay with that, and I was still writing anyway. So I was like, yeah, I have like 30 songs that are like ready to go right now.
Uh-huh.
So I can go to the studio pretty much whenever. And yeah, I went into the studio and then we recorded the record that's coming up now, Welcome Home.
Wow. Okay. So Cloud City, was that done and recorded over quarantine then also, like in the beginning of 2020?
A little bit before the quarantine. So at the end of 2019, right
Okay.
before. So we got done with that right before tour, and then on tour they found us.
Oh, okay. That is
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Wow. And so and then the new record that's coming. So did you really have a chance to tour the album at all, or the Cloud Nothing EP?
No, we started touring this year. We put it out and did music videos and everything else, but we did 2 tours this year. We actually just got back last week from one.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Nothing huge, but you know, each tour was about like 2 weeks. This is the most we've been able to tour on the Cloud City EP. We didn't really get to do much touring on it at all, and now we're putting out this record in January. And
Mm-hmm.
now that touring's a thing, though, I'm hopeful that we'll tour a lot more on this record.
Sure. Yeah, because you kind of miss that cycle, right? I mean,
Yeah,
that's kind of the norm would be to put a record out and tour it. And with
yeah. Funny though, because we've been putting out singles for the next record, but I think because we didn't get to tour in Cloud City, when we show up to places, people expect us to only play Cloud City stuff, and I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, still kind of want to hear this because they didn't get to hear it live. You know, we kind of skipped that whole process. So
Right. What like the first tour back and those first shows back, what was that like?
It was, I was extremely nervous because I hadn't played the show in like over a year. Um, and I was also nervous about just like getting sick or like getting anyone else sick because, you know, that was always in the back of my head, like, oh my God, what if like I meet someone and they don't know, but like one of us has COVID and then just spreads.
Right.
It was like, it was really nerve-wracking for me, but we got through it. The turnouts were great, which I also didn't expect because I'm like, oh, no one's gonna come to shows. You know, we just got through a pandemic, but I was very wrong about that.
Yeah, people are itching to get out of the house now,
Yeah,
right?
really itching to get out of the house. So it was, yeah, it was fun. It was scary, but it was fun.
When you did that, you said you were on tour right before the lockdown happened the first time. Were like how close to like when did the tour end? And
The
was it in
tour
2020?
the tour ended in December of 2019.
Oh, okay. So
We toured-
COVID really wasn't probably that big of a
yeah, I think
buzz yet.
about it like already. Like there was like talks about it on the
Mhm.
news in December, but it wasn't. No one cared because you know, obviously as humans, we don't care about things like that. We're just like, it's not a big deal to go away.
Right, it won't come here.
Yeah, here. So we toured pretty much the end of November all the way until like the end of December.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know if maybe some of your shows were affected, but it doesn't sound like numbers wise, like anyone. It wasn't serious enough yet, like or people didn't think it was serious enough yet at
Yeah,
that
no
point.
one thought it was serious. So like we were just touring like if there was like without a care.
Right. With this new record, was it a different process for recording for you because of the pandemic? Did it affect you at all?
um, it was different for more reasons than that. The music came out different because I normally write and record everything at home anyway, and then just give it, you know, I take it to like a producer and stuff like that. Um, I guess because I had more time on my hands, I wanted to write different things. But also it was our first time actually being inside of like a real recording studio.
Oh,
Um, and so like with the record Welcome Home, we did it with Andrew Bayless um in Kentucky, and he had like it was like this giant studio and just like all these different things. And I'm not used to that because I'm just used to doing everything at home and emailing now and just getting things back and forward. So back and forth. It was super different. It was also nice because me and Andrew really clicked on like a lot of things, and he understood that I was kind of going for like just really weird stuff. Like I kind of stopped caring about genres somewhere along the line.
uh-huh.
And it was a completely different process, but it was like really fun.
Was it intimidating being in a big studio like that?
A little bit. There was a lot of things I weren't familiar with. Like I can't just be like, oh yeah, I'll do everything at home and just send it to you. Like there's like more equipment and more things that are just like, oh, I don't know how that works. So I mean, not touch that kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
Um, but we were in good hands. Like Andrew's like probably one of the best producers. I think he is probably like literally like top three producers in the industry right now. And no one knows this. This guy is like a genius. He can just hear something and be like, oh yeah, this is what you should do, and this is what we should do to make this pop. And I'm like, where does that come from? So we were in good hands with Andrew. So it helped kind of like ease it out.
How did you meet him?
I met Andrew randomly. We did when we were doing the Cloud City EP. I wanted to work with other people because by then I was working with the same people, and it was always just me at home. And I was like, well, my writing is getting kind of stale. I need to start working with other people.
Mhm.
And I had messaged Andrew, and he had already known about us. So he was like, yeah, I know about your band already. Like I've heard about you guys. So he made us like an offer. He was like, hey, how about you come to my studio and we'll do one song and we'll see how it works. And if you guys like it, then we'll record more songs. And we went to at the time he was recording in Ohio. So we drove to Ohio and we did Dig, which was on the Cloud City EP. And while we were in the booth, like while I was in the booth singing, he like paused the song and was like, yeah, we should do it like a full EP. Like I didn't even finish the song. He's like, we should 100% do this. And so we kind of just kept,
Wow.
yeah.
That is amazing. And do you have plans, obviously plans to tour this record? Like what do you have coming up?
We have like a bunch of plans that I can't really talk about because it's like
Ah.
it's- some things are like in the works and some things are I guess kind of already like kind of there, but like we're waiting on like that last little bit to make it official. So I can't really talk about it, but there's like a lot of things for like next year. So I'm excited about it.
Very exciting. Very exciting. And I appreciate you doing this. Thanks so much, Joey, for chatting
I,
with me today.
I don't really talk to anyone. I have no friends. So this is the only time I talk to other humans.
Same here, man. The only people I talk to are on the other side of this computer screen.
Yeah, I have literally like New York is such a huge place, but I don't really talk to anyone. So it's kind of weird, you know?
Well, again, I appreciate you doing this. I have one more question. I want to know if you have any advice for aspiring artists.
Yeah, just don't listen to anybody about anything, and do it how you want to, your way. It'll never, ever, ever feel like it's yours unless you do it your way.